Community figures from Tottenham have met with the police following yesterday's inquest conclusion that Mark Duggan was killed lawfully. Today there were appeals for calm following the dramatic scenes outside court following the ruling. Our senior correspondent Ronke Phillips has spent the day in Tottenham.
Really good to see you.
Pleased to meet you as well, sir.
Okay.
Offering a reassuring hand, 24 hours after the verdict, the police commander in charge of Tottenham on a public relations offensive.
Take care, yeah? All right. I personally feel sympathetic because, you know, whatever's said at the moment, whatever goes on, a young man has lost his life. And as a police officer has been on the receiving end of hand to shoot someone, and no police officer goes out at the beginning of their duty to carry out, you know, a high-risk operation where someone gets hurt or someone gets killed.
A similar message came from the Met Commissioner, who offered the family sympathy but fell short of an apology.
I'm not going to talk about apologies. I think the only thing I can do is to respect the outcome of the jury's verdict. Clearly the family's still got concerns and they're still asking questions, and of course the IPCC have yet to conclude their investigation into this event. So I think it would be unwise for anybody to at this stage say anything further than we accept the jury's verdict.
And we are not going to go away.
It was a very different atmosphere on the streets last night, when emotions still very raw, the family declared their intention to fight on.
They are just a person in a uniform. I could put on that uniform and act the same way. I'm not afraid of them. I am not afraid of them.
The angry scenes came after the inquest jury ruled by a majority of 8-2 that Mark Duggan was lawfully killed. The death of the father of 6 sparked riots throughout the country, and there were fears trouble could escalate again. The Prime Minister used a radio programme to make an appeal for calm.
These issues raise very strong emotions, but I hope people can react calmly and recognise that we have proper judicial processes in this country, and they're the ones that must be followed and respected.
So we need to build very strong relationships.
The pastor who presided over Mark Duggan's funeral was one of several community representatives at a meeting with police today. He confirmed plans for a family vigil at the weekend and appealed to anyone planning to attend to show respect.
I don't want anybody to take advantage of the Duggan family. I think the Duggan family need to be able to express their pain, discontent and frustration without anybody violating that process.
For now, the talking continues. The will to bridge the divide between the two sides is there if the way forward can be found. Ronke Phillips, ITV News.
Well, Diane Abbott is the Labour MP for Hackney North and Stoke Newington and has joined us in the studio. Thanks very much for coming in, Diane. Last night on Twitter you sounded quite baffled by the lawful killing. Do you still stand by that?
Oh, I think a lot of people were surprised at the verdict. If you go back, we were told initially that there had been some kind of shootout between Duggan and the police. And there was a feeling for quite a long time that he'd obviously had a gun in his hand. And then when the jury found that he hadn't had a gun in his hand when he came out of the vehicle, and yet the killing was still a lawful killing, a lot of us were surprised. But I never think it's right for politicians to second-guess juries. And I do think we have to move on. And I think we have to move on peacefully, which is what the Duggan family want.
Yes, and that's exactly what the Prime Minister was saying during that radio interview today. But looking at the relations between the police and also communities within London, we also have to look at that in a historical context, don't we? It's not as if this animosity has suddenly happened.
Well, I don't know animosity, but it is a difficult relationship, and there's a history to it. There are issues like stop and search. Black young men are 6 times more likely to be stopped and searched on the street than white young people, and in some parts of London it's a much higher multiple. And these issues go back years. The original Brixton riots in the early 80s were triggered by stop and search.
Well, that was going to be my next question, actually, because of course you had Broadwater Farm in 1985 and obviously the Brixton riots in 1981. it's 30 years almost between then and now. Why we're at this stage now? Why have we not moved on even further?
There have been improvements. I mean, the senior Metropolitan policemen that I deal with now are a far cry from the people I dealt with 20 odd years ago when I was first an MP. They're more sophisticated, they're more aware of the importance of bringing the community along with them, but we still have a way to go. In the end, the Metropolitan Police can only police by consent, and we need to bear down on non-evidence-based stop and search, which sometimes feels as if it's just stopping and searching people for how they look. And we need to bear down these issues about deaths in custody, which the black community is unhappy about. We need, the Metropolitan Police need to have the wholehearted consent of the community.
How would you suggest that they do that?
For instance, by having fewer stops which have no basis in evidence. It can't be right that black kids are 6 times more likely to be stopped than white people. Now, in Hackney, we're doing something about bringing down the level of stop and search, but we need to see more. So fewer stops, which should just have no basis in any evidence. And there needs to be more transparency when people die in custody. People worry that people die in custody, no one's ever charged for negligence or anything like that. And just more work to bring the communities together, and not just at the level of community leaders, but at the level of families and mums, really bringing the community together with the police.
OK, well, thank you very much for joining us, Diane. Mark Duggan's death has led to calls for police to be equipped with cameras while on duty. Already in use by officers in some boroughs, they're due to be rolled out to some firearms teams from April. And they're also being used by a park police unit in West London. Nick Thatcher went to see them in action.
On patrol in Fulham, these are Parks police officers employed by the local council. And in a first for London, they're equipped with cameras fitted to their lapels that can be activated to record any encounters they may have with members of the public.
Good morning, sir. My name is PC511 Hazel Ryan. Just to make you aware, you are on CCTV.
The cameras here don't record all the time, but have been used to capture evidence of littering, dog fouling and drunken behaviour.
The high-tech gadgets are able to capture high-quality footage even at night, and it's hoped the cameras will not just cut antisocial behaviour and crime, but also speed up prosecutions.
But as well as gathering evidence and acting as a deterrent, they could also be used, if needed, to hold these officers to account.
Especially dealing with the youths, they'll say, "Why are you filming me?" And my reply would be to make sure I behave myself and I act appropriately with you, and it takes information for me to what you're saying to me, and everything is kept clear and straight.
How are you? Everything all right today?
Body cameras are already being trialled by a number of police forces in a bid to build confidence. This is Staffordshire, but 75 cameras are in operation across 8 boroughs in London. And the Met signalled yesterday it now wants all its firearms officers to wear them in the wake of the inquest into how Mark Duggan died.
One of the challenges in this, we've had 2.5 years to get to this conclusion. That's been awful for the family, I'm sure. It's certainly awful for the officers who've had their careers on hold. Actually, if we had body cameras on the officers, then we would have got to the bottom of the matters very quickly.
But while the benefits of police cameras are clear, many still have their doubts.
There are concerns around privacy, around civil liberties, and also around when these cameras will be turned on and off. Will they be on all the time, which is currently not allowed under Home Office guidelines? And if not, how we know that they're on at the times when we really need them.
Back in the park, though, the local council is convinced a picture is worth 1,000 words when it comes to securing convictions and ensuring transparency for its officers. Nick Thatcher, ITV News, Fulham.
Pop singer Talisa